So, good morning or good night, depending on where you are in the world. And welcome to another anniversary album review of The Shield Dude on a Couch. I'm your host, Hector. And today we're going to talk about this album, Live, Throwing Copper, which came out originally on April 26, 1994. So it's turning 30 years old. So I have for this episode, I'm joined by JC Rock and Metal Reviews. How are you, JC?
Thanks.
And obviously, I'm joined by our local Eddie Vedder from Puerto Rico. Eggy, how are you, man?
I'm doing great. And you, Hunter, how are you? How are you doing?
I'm good. You call me Hunter. People be like,
Yeah,
they're like, yeah, here in
yeah.
Puerto Rico, they used to call me Hunter. But
Mhm.
no, he like you can call me Shield Dude, but Hector.
No,
So
it's Hector the Shield Dude on the couch.
yeah,
Yeah.
so we're gonna do something different instead of like doing like saying at first like our first initial impressions of listening to this album. I want to ask everyone like how this album was like influential for you, like when it came out, if it was. So JC, like when this came out, how much of an influence and the album have on you?
Well, what's interesting is that this came out 30 years ago, 1994. And I'm actually kind of surprised because for some reason I thought this was more of like a late 90s album. I guess maybe because it has that sound. It and that kind of goes into why I think it's influential because I think this is one of those first like post like grunge bands that led to a lot of those other bands that started sounding like that. I'm thinking of like Fuel and maybe like Stained, like they kind of had like that type of sound. They weren't that heavy though, but I think they kind of like are really the type of band where like you could say they are like alternative rock. I mean that's like the typical like alternative rock band. Like they're not really grunge. I mean these guys are where they're from like Pennsylvania or something like that, so they're not like from the grunge band that came out like a little later. But I always thought they had more of like a late 90s sound, but I think it was because a lot of bands copied them. Now, this album, I don't think I bought it when it came out, but the singles I know like back and forth, like I know all the lyrics. I used to play them on my guitar and I can sing along to all the songs. I still remember them. And there were like five singles. I think it was this Selling the Drama, I Alone, Lightning Crashes, All Over You, and White Discussion. So all those songs I knew very well. And some of the other ones were some of the deeper cuts, which I'll talk about in the next round. Yeah, I think it was very influential in that like late 90s, like post-grunge movement. And I think like they were like one of the first bands.
Yeah. Actually, their first album came out in 1991. So
Yeah,
they were right in the thick of it. But
yeah,
yeah, I wouldn't call them like a grunge band. I would call them, to me, they're an alternative rock band. Uh,
yeah.
Mhm.
I think something that really made them stood out was Ed Kowalski, his type of vocals and stuff. And but yeah, so no, nice like impressions of when it came out. So Eggy, for you, like I think this is a very influential album for you, Eggy. What would you say?
Mhm. Um, I just love it, man. I think it's great. The first time I listened to this album, what got me into it was the cover art. At first,
Sure.
when I first saw the cover art, yeah, it was like very intriguing.
Yeah, because you have
So
like them
I
they're
remember,
leading him to
yeah,
the yeah.
yeah, I have it here too. So
We have the same one, the
it's pretty
25th
nice.
anniversary
Yeah,
edition. Yeah,
yes,
of
yes, we
vinyl.
do. So, um, like JC said, like I first started listening like to the singles, um, Setting the Drama, Lightning Crashes, I Alone, all those songs are so like influential to me. It's for so many reasons. Its voice is amazing. I think um, I always said that this album is like the most underrated album of the 90s because I know like a lot of people know that it's a very good album, but sometimes I feel like it doesn't like
Get the
it doesn't.
praise. Yeah.
Yeah, it deserves like more respect. You know, I think it's a great album. I think the bounce sounds great in this album. I heard like play. I heard them like play songs from this album on different videos where they doing like live presentations, etc.
I saw
And
them in
yeah,
Miami.
I envy you, man.
Yeah, it was Live and Bush, and they were both
Wow.
doing the 25th anniversary. The Live
Mhm.
was doing Throwing Copper, and Bush was doing 16 Stone. So
Wow.
I remember, and there was another band. There was Our Lady Peace was opening.
Okay,
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's cool, man. But like every time like I see like videos from them and playing these songs live, they sound wonderful, man. And man, this is a it's a great album. I think it's very underrated. I think um like man, today it even holds up like today, you know.
yeah. So for me, actually, I remember when I bought this album. I was actually in Orlando on vacation when I bought this album. I had listened to I Alone, and they had Selling the Drama was the first single and I thought that they sounded different because they were like a rock band, but like they had like some like great melodies to Ed's voice. And I thought at first that they were a religious band for some reason. But no, I don't think so. But I don't know why I thought that. But when I remember when I saw the cover, first of all, I don't know who did that painting, but it's a great painting. It's a great cover. Like it's very striking. Like you see this image of these women leading this man with what appears to be like a Bible or some
Yeah.
sort.
I think
And
that the painting is called the Sisters of Mercy, something like that. It's,
yeah, and you see the church, and I like they're not they to me they're not like a grunge band. They're like alternative rock band. And
Mhm.
I remember obviously everyone fell in love with them with Lightning Crashes because that was like the huge single. And it's a beautiful song. I had a little bit of fatigue with that song because it was so so played. But yeah, I also like Eggy believe that this is a band that didn't get as much praise as it should. But I was so excited when I got to see them live in Miami, and they played almost everything from this album. They actually opened with the Dam at Otter Creek. And where he goes like, it was so
Mhm.
great. Actually, the Bush opened that show, uh, but live was they intertwined. Sometimes it was live opening, then Bush. It was a great. It was a great like concert. I went back into the 90s with that one. So yeah, it is very influential for me. So influential that I bought it on vinyl. When I saw it like this 25th anniversary, which it has additional songs. It has four songs that weren't in the first album. It has a song called Horse, Hold Me Up, We Deal in Dreams, and Sus Quejana. And they're actually good, these tracks. I think
Mhm.
maybe they're great tracks. But I don't remember listening to these tracks when they came out. Had you listened to these tracks before, Eggy?
No, those tracks are for that edition.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This
I made a
edition,
research.
yeah, great edition. So now we're gonna go round two, and we're gonna mention like our favorite songs, and obviously we can pick we can pick some deep cuts because I think there's some good deep cuts here.
Yeah.
So JC, what are your favorites from this album?
I picked some. I picked some deep cuts because I mean the singles are great. I mean I love all the singles. Those are the ones I know very well. But no, we all know them. So let's talk about some other stuff. We got the song TBD. It's kind of a softer song. Has that like cool like bass guitar playing, and this band they did that formula where they have like softer sections and then they get like a little harder during the chorus. And I did some research on the song. I was wondering what is TBD, and it stands for the Tibetan Book of the Dead. So it's all about that. And actually, you were saying before you thought they were like a religious band. This is actually related to like Christianity or something like that. So
yeah,
I
they
thought
have
it's
some
interesting.
religious undertones. I always thought they
Yeah,
had.
there's some religious undertones. Yeah, yeah. But so I think I was also reading that singer Ed Kowalczyk. I think like he wanted to like write some religious songs, but like not too much. Like he didn't want to be like in your face about it.
He
Okay,
didn't
so
want to be
another
Scott
song.
from Creed.
Is the song Waitress.
Oh.
More like straightforward grunge. It's a pretty cool rocker. And this one has a cool story. I think it's about like a guy and he goes out with his girlfriend and then they're at a diner or something like that. And like they're like debating on whether or not like the waitress deserves a tip. So I thought that was it's pretty cool. It's just a cool like concept for a song because it just takes some
Yeah, because
simple everyday thing and
yeah.
you know, they just make a song out of it. So I like that one. And I'm gonna pick another deep cut, Pillar of Davidson. I thought it was more of like a dark, sad song. And this one I tried to like see what it's about. I think I read that it refers to a lighthouse from Ed Kowalczyk's hometown in Pennsylvania. And it's supposed to be like a symbol for a beacon of hope or stability or something like that. And then I read another thing saying that it's about like people who like work very hard 9 to 5 and raise a family and just doing all that. So that's it. So those are my three. I picked deep cuts. I also mentioned the hidden track called Horse. I actually like that one. It's more like a country rock, like a Neil Young type of song.
It is,
I
yeah,
thought that
really
was
cool.
a really good song. And I think it was like the hidden track on the CD, or it was like, you know, back in the 90s, they was
After
like
white
had like one.
discussion, yeah, we've always thought that back in the 90s, that was the thing to do. Like you had
Yeah,
to
like
be
Pearl
patient.
Jam did some. Yeah, Pearl Jam
Pearl
used to do it
Jam,
all the time. And those like hidden tracks. Yeah,
Nirvana. I'm trying to think, like almost every band did like a
yeah,
hidden track. Even Korn had one.
yeah. Corn's follow the leader.
Yeah, they had a hidden track. So yeah, it's yeah, some good ones. So Eggy, what tracks do you pick?
Deep cuts.
Deep cuts, yeah, because we all know
Yeah,
the singles.
yeah, because I was gonna say first feeling the drama, but it's a single. The Lemma or Creek, I think is a great opener. Like you said, like the way he sings at the beginning, like building up, is like
Yeah.
perfect for yeah. It's very like mystic in a way, you know,
Yeah.
like very weird. I also love Iris. Iris is for me that's one of my
Oh, yeah.
favorite songs of this album.
Not to be confused with the
No,
Google
with
Dolls
Google Animals,
Iris.
no. It's not. Also Shit Town. I love Shit Town,
Gotta
man.
live, gotta live, gotta live.
Yeah, I think it's a very catchy. It has a very catchy chorus, you know. And like JC said, I'm gonna pick also like the horse from the extended edition, the horse. Because I usually doesn't like I usually don't like country that much, you know, but they did it in a very cool way. So I think it was like something like I wasn't expecting from them, and I think like they they really did a great song here. So I think those are my picks. The Dam at Otter Creek, Iris, Shit Town, and Horse.
Nice. So for me, I like Waitress, like how JC said it, because the part I like, come on, let me believe a tit behind. She was a bitch, but I don't care. I'm like, it's funny, but you know what? He probably I don't know, he obviously never was in Miami. The waitress and people in the service industry there are the biggest douchebags I ever met in my life. They were terrible. Here in Puerto Rico, they're very nice. So I always tip them. But yeah, it's funny how you say like they took like something like a mere conversation about leaving a tip and they make a song about it. But I like a lot All Over You, which I don't think was a
All
single.
Over You is a
And
very
it
good.
sounded like it could have been a single, like All Over You.
Yeah.
It's like a great song. Like I love how he says that their love is like water, like always flowing. Like I think Ed Kowalczyk was very good lyricist, not only
Yeah.
vocalist, but he writes like great, like meaningful songs and like great. And that's something that not all bands have that. I know JC was talking about like fuels and stuff. I'm like, no, I think live is on another level of great songwriting. And I know there was a time that Ed left the band, and it wasn't the same with it without him. Like I remember listening stuff without him. I'm like, no, this is not live. Like it was missing his voice and his how he wrote songs. I also love Shit Town. I don't know. I like the part like Shit Town. Like I was wondering, it's just a song that everyone can relate to, somehow thinking that where they live is a shit town. So I think it's good and it's catchy. And I know White Discussion was sort of like the last single. It doesn't feel like a single because it's one of the hardest songs on the record. And I always loved that track, White Discussion, because it was like hard hitting. But a song that wasn't also a single, I would go with Iris as well, because I think it's a very beautiful song. And yeah, so yeah, we picked different songs almost, and a few in particular. So 30 years later, we asked the question, how has this held up? JC, what do you think?
Yeah, I think it's underrated and it doesn't really get a lot of attention. I think I don't know, there's something about like they didn't really like fit into like this specific box. Like they were kind of like their own thing. Like they weren't part of you talk about grunge, you talk about like the big four of grunge, but I mean like they weren't like part of like this group of a special like subgenre. So I think they kind of get forgotten. But I think it's really good music, well written, great lyrics, like you're saying, and just the musicianship is great. It's just like the guitar playing is really good, and all the band members are really good. So I think it holds up, and I think it's just very overlooked.
Yeah.
I think, yeah.
Yeah. What about you, Eggy?
Like Jesse said, I think is a as a band as a whole, they're very overlooked, and this album is very underrated. I think like this album has a lot of songs that are like 90s anthems, like I Alone, Lightning Crashes. Those are 90s anthems, and I think like it holds up like very like well, and I listen to this album like every other day. I really love it, and also like I know like they did after this one. I think they did Secret Serenity, correct?
Yeah, which was an album that wasn't as popular, I remember I bought that album, and I also bought The Distance to Nowhere from 1999, which are both great albums.
Yeah, it has great songs. It has like in its use, and the other one has Dolphins Cry, correct?
Yeah, the distance to, let me check the name. Yeah, the distance to here has the Dolphins Cry, and also had Run to the Water. That was a slight hit for them. But yeah, yeah, Throwing Copper is it's their master. It's their most successful record. It sold 8 million copies. So yeah.
This is their masterpiece, and I think it's a masterpiece of alternative music in general. I think like this album should we should put this album like on something like how do we say it? I forgot the word. The word. When you put something like and you open it
in a pedestal.
No.
Like no, I think like a shrine.
When you put like
an altar or something. Yeah.
When you put stuff on some like on somewhere and you open that stuff like years later, like
a time capsule.
A time capsule, yeah.
Time capsule.
I think we should put this one on a time capsule, like because it's for me, at least for me, I think it's an album that defined the 90s alternative sound, like for me, and I think it's a great album, man. I really, it's one of my most precious vinyls right now.
Yeah. So I think that would lead me. So yes, this has aged so well. Like Eggy, I think that's why I bought it. It's one of these albums that I think should get more praise of how good live was. And I never understood the backlash that they had with Secret Samadhi and those other albums. I think there was a shift in music tone. And I think they played. Did they play Woodstock 1999?
Or 90,
I don't remember.
Or 94?
Or did they play 94? I'm trying. I tried to think.
I saw on their page they played one of the Woodstocks.
Yeah, probably 94.
Let me check it.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but I think they played one. But yeah, I think this is an album that has held up.
Yeah, it was 94. Yeah,
94. Yeah,
Woodstock 94.
Yeah, the one that was actually more peaceful.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm sorry. I think Woodstock 90. I would have loved to go to Woodstock 94.
Yeah,
it was a superior Woodstock in like from 1999. Obviously the 1969, but we're digressing. But yeah, so this album, yeah, to me it's aged really well. I wouldn't put it in a time capsule because then you couldn't hear it for 30 years, Eggy. But I would totally recommend to this. Like if you like bands in the 90s and you never listened to live, I think this is a great starting point. I think they're one of those, like how the Green Man would say, dark horse bands that should have been bigger than what they were because they were really talented. They wrote great songs. And yeah, it would be interesting since we covered this album to do an Is It That Bad maybe on one of their, maybe Secret Samadhi from 1997, because I don't think it got as much love. So that would be an interesting episode to do maybe sometime in the future. So yeah, we want to know from you guys, what do you think of Throwing Copper by Live? How has this held up 30 years later? Comment what are your favorite tracks, and let us know. In May I'm doing an anniversary album review with Señorita Sabrosura and her husband El Duderino, and we're gonna talk about Weezer's The Blue Album, which is 30 on May. So that will be the next one for anniversaries, I think. A big video because I'm doing it with them because they actually when I started my vinyl collection, they bought that one for me. So, so we're gonna talk about that Weezer album. But yeah, throwing Copper 30 years later. It's been great. So this Friday, April 26th, play it like my friend Chili from Listening Erase would say, loud and proud for its 30th anniversary. And I would say it, play it loud. So until next time, I want to thank, I was going to say goodbye. Let me thank my guest, first of all, JC Rock and Metal Reviews. If you haven't subscribed to his channel, he's great content, tier list. And now you're doing like every Friday, you're doing, instead of like one album review, you're covering like 6 albums that came out, right?
Yeah, because I usually used to do try to do like one full review or one video for every album, but I think that there's so many albums coming out. I figure I was just gonna do maybe like the most popular one. Like this weekend I did Pearl Jam, and then I did like every other album in combined into one video where I do like short reviews.
Yeah.
I don't know. I kind of find this working better that way because I can cover more bands. Yeah.
It does make sense because there's a lot of stuff that comes out and we can't talk about everything. So please subscribe to his channel. And Eggy, he's also got a YouTube channel where he promotes his music. So Eggy, any new tracks coming out?
The last one
La Oscuridad.
it was yeah. That was the last one. And I am working on something now with my wife and with another band from here, Sonosfera. I think you know them, Sonosfera. They're the do you know Luis Enrique? He does the Viva the King.
Okay.
The Elvis tribute. He has a band, and I'm doing something with him as well.
Yeah. So when am I doing a song with you?
We should call Splash.
For people that don't know that, but there's actually a YouTube video like 10 years ago. You know what? I gotta post that link somewhere so people can see that. But 10 years ago, I used to do a rock show called Rock Century 21, and I had this character called Splash. And Splash wore like a Justin Bieber t-shirt, and he was supposed to be like the most metal dude. And I did a song like at the most metal thing ever. And I did one with Eggy, but I don't think that one's on the YouTube page. But I can post the link so people can watch that, like what I did like 10 years ago before I was on the couch. Yeah. So if you haven't, please subscribe to me. I have more videos. There's a few more Is It That Bad episode coming. We're doing Alien Ant Farm. We'll do the new 6 Feet Under. I think we're doing Blink 182 record and Silverchair album next. So those will be the next episode for you to watch. So and more interviews. So subscribe, give me a like, and share with people because that helps me with the YouTube algorithm to get to more people like yourselves. So until next time, people, this is Hector, the Shield Dude on a couch, and I'll see you all right here on the couch. Thank you and goodbye.